Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Rotowire Fantasy Football Podcast, brought to you by the good folks at WynnBET, WYNNBET. Please go support them in the 6 states that have that available right now. And as they rapidly expand, they are our exclusive sponsor for our podcast. Chris, Liss, Jeff Erickson here. We are excited. We had our big NFFC draft weekend. I did the NFFC Classic, the 14-teamer in the morning in Vegas. And then I sat in on Liss's draft in the afternoon, the 12-team primetime draft. Chris, good weekend, good draft weekend. How did everything go for you?
I mean, I was happy. I didn't like my slot 4. It was my, one of my last slots that I wanted. But I felt like I made the best of it. I went exactly as I thought it would go, basically. I mean, and it was almost scary. Like, it actually made me feel kind of good because, like, I felt like these guys were drafted off my cheat sheet for a couple of rounds. Like, literally, I'd have 5 guys queued, and out of the next 7 picks, those 5 guys would go in, like, the 6th round, not like in the 2nd round. And I was like, wow, they're just taking all the guys I like, but I guess that's good. That means I like the right guys. But I felt good. I got the guys I wanted. I was aggressive where I needed to be. I was cautious where I needed to be. I felt like, I mean, we won't know till the season really starts, but I was happy with it. I feel like it was a hard draft, but I was prepared and I got the guys I wanted. I liked your draft. I think you got a better team than me for the format. You got a 14-team format, but I was, I felt like I did as well as I could have with the slot that I had.
Yeah. So let's start off. You started out at 4, like you said, one of your least favorite spots, 3rd round reversal. That's key. And a normal snake draft, 4 isn't that bad. You get a pretty good guy in the beginning of the 3rd round that you're pretty happy with. Yeah. It's the 3rd round where you really start to feel it. Now the plus side is you get a guy you like theoretically up at the top, but there's enough risk between 4 and 12 that a lot of people say there's not that much of a gap. What say you on that?
I mean, I hear you. I mean, it's certainly by the ADP. That's true, right? I mean, I took Taylor. Yeah. I've seen Taylor go in the 2nd round. You see like, Eckler went 11th, right? He sometimes could go 4, or Kelsey went 10th, or Zeke Elliott went 8th. They go 4 sometimes. So it's kind of a crapshoot. I think 4 is where the draft starts, right? It was McCaffrey, Cook, Kamara after the Winston was announced as the starter. It's kind of the no-brainer number 3 or even number 2. And then the draft starts. And the guy I like best is Taylor. I got to take him. He's not going to be there on the way back. He's the guy I like best. And then I was like, I'm going to get A.J. Brown. I was telling everyone that's who I'm getting. I thought for a second I might get Chubb, who went a pick before me, but of course he went. And all the guys went. I mean, when I got to it, my pick is basically Brown. Like, if you have my list, you're getting Brown every time because you're looking at Jefferson, Diggs, Aaron Jones, Ridley, Harris, Barkley, Hopkins, Chubb, Brown. With like 4 of those guys to go, I was like, oh, at worst, I'm getting Hopkins. At worst. And I'm probably getting Brown. And if I'm lucky, I'll get Barkley or Chubb, who, I missed by a few picks. But, it just happened exactly the way I thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, it's good that at least you could predict what was going to happen, but it's bad because you didn't get a windfall. And that's the thing. I mean, it's sometimes at these NFFC drafts you do because it's a get your guy sort of draft. Unfortunately, no one thought their guy was a guy that was below what you wanted. I mean, it was very formful.
Nobody grabbed, right. If anybody took, Darren Waller or CEH or Mixon, and I've seen all those guys go mid-second, especially Mixon, then I get Chubb or, depending on who it was, or Barkley or whoever. But maybe I just have a choice between Brown and Hopkins, and I would have taken Brown anyway. But I knew that was what I was getting. And I'm not like mad about it. I'm fine with A.J. Brown. I'm perfectly happy with that. But it was just like, man, I would have loved to get Nick Chubb or Saquon Barkley there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that you're just, it's funny. I'm sitting at 12, and I wanted Chubb in the 1st round. And you almost got him in the 2nd. He went 1 pick ahead of me, though. It's like, and the thing is, like, Nick Chubb, even in a PPR, he was like running back 7 last year. I mean, it's like, yeah, you may get frustrated because like, oh, he could be so much better if they just threw it to him a little bit more. Kareem Hunt steals from all the time, and he still gets there though for you. That's the thing. I love that in a 1st round pick. You just get that crazy high floor. So
a Taylor Chubb start would have been sick. But I mean, again, I'm not mad about A.J. Brown. That's fine. That's who I expected. That's who I wanted. And I'm fine with having a guy who could be wide receiver 1. I mean, he's that good.
Right. And so that's fun. You get that start, and you're like, okay, let's go. Let's do it there. So you got your 1-2 that you kind of start. Then you wait. You have to wait 12 more picks because you're sitting there.
Yep.
And again, it's formful. Lamb's gone, Allen's gone, McLaurin's gone, Allen Robinson's gone.
Even Godwin, even Mahomes and Godwin. Who I was looking at Mahomes and Godwin, I was like, I could consider those two guys.
Even James Robinson, who is like my 3rd round guy a lot, he's gone. So
and Montgomery, right? So my top 2 running backs that were left at that point, and all of my top receivers were just taken away from me before that pick. And the crazy thing is that if I pick 5th, I probably get Taylor and Chubb, which is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And if you pick 12th, you could possibly have gotten, say, the guy took Metcalf, could have gotten Metcalf, Taylor, and Brown. I mean, like,
right.
You might get what my 2 first-round picks plus DK Metcalf, right? I mean, it's like,
right.
You couldn't get that at 12. So it's a tough spot, but it is what it is. So I take Deontay Johnson as the guy that I said I would get and that I wanted. There were a bunch of receivers like him, Cooper Kupp, Mari Cooper, Mike Evans that I kind of thought were all equal. And I took one of them, the one I wanted most. So I just was like, okay, I'll get 2 receivers. Now I get Deontay Johnson, and on the way back, Mike Evans is still there. If someone had taken Evans instead of Judy right before me, I might have taken Kyle Pitts. That was going to be my other pick. But I really agonized over it. I sat there, Evans or Pitts, and I was like, man, Pitts has so much upside. But I was like, Evans is so good with a good quarterback, and he scores a lot of touchdowns. I'm like, I'm just going to take Evans. That was the conservative thing that I did. The only really conservative play that I made was taking Mike Evans over Pitts.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? You start off with 3 awesome wide receivers. Evans is in a really good offense. And honestly, it's only because Team 3, who I was sitting next to, I was actually in Vegas, sitting in your chair, basically announcing your picks to everyone. Team 3, I was having a good conversation with. They jumped Judy, and because they knew they wanted him.
Right. They were getting him on the way back.
There's no way he's coming back. He's going at the end of the 4th. I think this is an interesting discussion. But so they take him, and that slots in Evans. That's the only reason why you get him, because I think there is a drop off there. Then you're going DJ Moore or Ayuk, or you're finding that other wide receiver to jump. So it kind of dictates your strategy. Now, talking about these guys, Jerry Jeudy is a helium guy. We'll talk about Marquez Callaway in my draft. He's a helium guy. Laviska Shenault's a helium guy. There's certain guys that you're starting to see that are climbing the draft boards. If you happen to be that guy, or be on that guy, do you jump in on that, or how do you handle that when he's not coming back? Because I had a similar situation where there's a guy really on, but if I don't jump him, I'm not getting him. And how do you handle that sort of situation?
I mean, I think there's 2 ways to handle it. You can jump him and make sure you get him, or you can do what Pino does and say, give yourself a chance to get lucky and get him on the way back. And I did that with Elijah Moore, although one could say I jumped him in round 9. When I took A.J. Dillon in round 8 because I really needed a running back, I was worried I was going to miss out on Moore, and I got lucky and I got him back. So it just depends what you need. But I think if you really like the guy the most, it's by far the best player left on the board for you, go ahead and jump him. I can't fault Team 3 for doing that because they wanted Judy.
Yep.
They didn't want to gamble on getting him back, which is unlikely. And that's fine. It did give me Mike Evans. It cost me Kyle Pitts because if they take Evans, I snap call Pitts there at 4. Just as a ceiling plan.
Right. And I think if you get your guy, I ended up not getting Elijah Moore in my draft. So here's where the ADP is useful. The NFFC's ADP is great. You can sort just for the NFFC Classic. There were 2 Classic drafts before I did mine on Saturday morning. I had a pick in the 8th round. I could have, I was at pick 110. That was where I was slotting. So my choice was jump Elijah Moore at 87 or hope he gets to me at 110. Well, he had gone at 103 and 107 the 2 previous Classic drafts. I knew that waiting on him probably wasn't going to get him. And sure enough, he went 2 before me. It's he went as late as he was possibly going to go, and I still didn't get him. So that was the thing. So do I jump him and pass up someone like DJ Chark? I decided not to. I decided that Chark was still.
I would take Chark. I mean, I love Elijah Moore's upside, but I think Chark has the upside and a little bit more floor. Yeah. I would do that. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, it's 52-48, but I agree with that. I think, it depends how much you want the guy, but usually Pino is right that you If there's a plausible chance, like 25, 30, 40%, and it's close enough, take the value guy and hope you get both. But if your guy is just by far, the guy that you have to have, then go ahead and pay up. I think that's kind of the rule. If you really need to have him, if it's just a guy that you like, that you're hoping to get greedy and try to get both.
Yep. And I am, and Elijah, a question asked about Elijah Moore versus Crowder, for instance. Moore is more of a deep threat, first of all. He can make the big play, where I think Crowder is more of a possession guy. I also think Moore's going to get more targets than Crowder. I think it's only Corey Davis that's assured targets, is the way I look at it, and the way you wrote in your article about your draft. It is a crowded situation in New York, but everybody is raving about Elijah Moore. Everyone, his teammates, his peers, AJ Brown, Odell Beckham is raving about him. And yeah, this is all hype. It's a lot of hype. I understand that, but pure hype is one, especially not the same team. Pure hype, something I'm going to buy into a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. And it just, with the Jets, like, if it's either Elijah Moore is the real thing or he's not. If he's not, it doesn't matter. If he is, Jamison Crowder's not a problem. I mean, you can't get caught up in like, oh, but Jamison Crowder's there. As Mike Trout gets called up, oh, but Bobby Abreu and Vernon Wells are still there.
Right.
It doesn't matter. If Mike Trout's Mike Trout, obviously no one knew how good he's going to be. Those kind of, mediocre veteran types are not going to block them. And you can't get worried about that. You just have to say either this is for real or it's not. If it's not, it's not really going to matter. I'm not going to want to use them anyway. I'll drop them. If it is for real, there's no one on that team that's going to stand in his way.
That's right. Before we continue breaking down Liss's team and my teams and the resulting surrounding draft issues, a quick note from our friends at WynnBET. If there's one thing we appreciate here at Rotowire, it's making good decisions, and even more so, making the right decision. Listen up, folks. I have an incredible offer for you with Rotowire's newest partner, WynnBET, the premier digital casino and sportsbook app. WynnBET is now the exclusive sponsor for Rotowire's Fantasy Podcast. WynnBET brings you all the latest action with a user-friendly interface, moneyline bets, boosted parlays, over-unders, round robins, live betting, and so much more at your fingertips. Want a break from sports betting? Head into WynnBET's digital casino and take a spin on roulette. Liss has got a system for digital roulette, by the way. Yes, you can ask him about that. It's a special article, though. Yeah. Double down in blackjack, slam the slots, or try your hand at Baccarat. WynnBET is currently available in 6 states: Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, Virginia, while rapidly expanding. At WynnBET, the possibilities are limitless. WynnBET is currently offering all Rotowire listeners a risk-free bet up to $500 on your first wager. Download WynnBET now. That's WYNNBET. WynnBET, exclusive partner for Rotowire's Fantasy Podcast. All right, Jeff and Chris here. We're talking NFFC. We're talking about some of the drafts. So you got Mike Evans in the 4th. You strongly considered Kyle Pitts, but decided to pass on. Maybe see if you can get the tight end in rounds 5 or 6.
Right, that was my idea. And the thing is, the reason I almost took Pitts over Evans is that I feel like I had a weak draft slide. As I said, there's going to be leagues where a guy has Taylor and Brown in the 2nd and 3rd, and he's got, Metcalf or Tyreek Hill or, Nick Chubb or whoever is his first round pick in addition. And I'm going to have Deontay Johnson instead of that guy. So there's going to be, I'm in a weak slot. So part of me was like, why not just swing for the fences? Like take some crazy picks like Kyle Pitt, not crazy in round 4, but take a guy that could just totally dominate. But I just figured, you know what? I'm going to just play it a little conventional. I'll go bigger later in the draft. So that was sort of a decision point in round 4.
Sure. Interestingly enough, though, you didn't end up with, you had 2 bites of the apple to try to get one of those tight ends and didn't take it. Right. And that's the thing that's a little bit interesting to me is to see is like, what could you do here that could make it a little bit different there? And instead, you took Miles Sanders in round 5, and he and Josh Jacobs have been sliding a lot in these drafts as wide receivers get pushed up, as quarterbacks are starting to get pushed up. These are the running backs that get pushed down a little bit. You ended up with Sanders. You have a lot of Sanders.
Yeah, it's a really weird guy to have a lot of because he's very shaky. Like I'm counting on him and more than I probably want to. But in the end of round 5, I just thought this is the starter on the Eagles, and this guy can catch passes. He may not have great hands, but he had 50 catches as rookie. He's the starter. He's the definite starter playing next to Jalen Hurts. He's going to get a lot of big runs. He's fast. He's explosive. He had really good stats when Hurts was the quarterback last year. He's the unquestioned starter right now. There's nobody, they're not saying it's him and Boston Scott. He's the guy. And I just felt like, I've got Taylor, but that's one running back. And I just couldn't pass up the second running back. I just felt like it was him or Edwards. I just decided there's some running backs I like in this range. Javonte Williams went. So Sanders and Edwards were next. And I like Henderson a little bit. But I took Sanders over Edwards. That was the call. And Edwards went with the next pick. But I wanted the second running back. I just felt that was more important than the tight end. And then I might get a tight end in round 6. But of course, Justin Herbert's my guy. And I think Herbert might be QB1. I think the upside is so big with this guy. And he's been going early 7th. And I could have played chicken, taken Hawkinson or Mark Andrews, who almost made it back to me in round 7, but didn't quite, a few picks away. And I just said, you know what? Herbert's the guy I really care about more. Like I feel like Hawkinson might catch 85, 90 passes for 900 yards and 5 touchdowns, and Andrews might catch 9 or 10 touchdowns with like 780 yards and 68 catches. But I just felt like having a 5,000 yard, 40 touchdown quarterback was the more important thing. So I took Herbert.
Yeah. The only thing you didn't do is pair Herbert with one of his receivers. I would have tried to find a way to get Mike Williams on your squad, or even late going to Josh Palmer maybe, or somewhere where you have if he goes off and you have someone that rides along with him there, you have that combination. It's not necessary. I think it's a bonus. It's a plus. I think you're not taking him. I think you did the right. I mean, Mike Williams went a little bit before Elijah Moore, so you're fine. I mean, I would have taken Moore anyhow too. I mean,
if Williams goes to round 10, but here's the thing: is Mike Williams. I like him. I like Mike Williams, but I've kind of soured on him when he was hurt again in camp. He missed some time in camp, and I was just that guy just always hurt. Maybe he stays healthy this year, but it's been a while he's been in the league. He's such a big dude. He lands hard. He's good. There's definitely upside. I don't mind stacking if the value's there. But I took Herbert, and then round 7 came. And round 7 was really a no man's land for me. That was where Andrews is gone. That was a snap call if he made it 3 more picks.
Yeah.
Someone took Marquez Callaway right before me, which cracks me up.
Oh, that's not even close to the earliest
I know.
We'll talk about that.
So funny. I mean, maybe it's right, but I have no idea. Sutton went early 7, Chark went, Antonio Brown went. So I was kind of like, okay, what do I do? I was totally stuck. And it was either, I figured I would get another receiver. I thought about Ronald Jones, but I was like, and I just kind of impulsively took Pittman over Devonta Smith. With Hilton out indefinitely, I kind of feel like Pittman's going to be the number 1. And what if he's good in his second year? What if he's kind of like a Mike Evans type? What if he's actually really good? And I looked at Boyd, another guy who slipped, and I couldn't pull the trigger on Boyd. That was what it actually came down to, is Boyd or Pittman. I was like, oh yeah, Boyd's an easy 85 catches. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, the Bengals offense might have offensive line problems. And I'm like, and there's those other 2 guys. I was like, nah, I can't take Boyd. The safe thing. And if he's 75 catches for 900 yards and 6 touchdowns, that's going to be a real waste. So I got more aggressive. This is where I started to push it a little bit with Sanders, Herbert early, Pittman. I started to go a little more upside.
Sure. I see it. For what it's worth, team 3 next to you, that was when they started cursing your name. I mean, I'm sure they cursed your name many other times in life, but in this draft in particular, they cursed your name a little bit there. I think they got you back later on in the draft, but it was in and I remember exactly where it was. It was they got you with Jamal Williams later on, and that was big because it was 3 running backs you wanted all in a row that just got snagged.
So round 8, I take AJ Dillon because I've just got Taylor and Sanders, and I need a 3rd running back. So Dillon, I think, is going to be a co-starter with Aaron. He's a 2nd round pick, Dillon. It wasn't like some guy they picked up. I mean, it's a guy pedigreed guy that they pushed up to get, and he's going to get a lot of carries. And Aaron Jones is not like a workhorse, really. He gets 220 carries. He doesn't get 260. So Dillon's going to get a lot of work. But then I wanted, and then I was like, the Dillon pick might have cost me Elijah Moore, who I was buying into the hype, and it went all the way back, and I got him, and I was very relieved. Okay, good. I got my 2 guys. But now I need another running back, and there's all these running backs. Zach Moss, I don't really like Drake, but Fournette I like. Connor I like a little. But it's really Moss, Fournette, Jamal Williams. And Jamal Williams may be the starter. And they all went right in front of me, just in order. And my guy Landry. So the 6 picks were just took away everybody I was interested in. So I reached a bit, but I took Ramondre Stevenson because all the good stuff I said about Damon Harris because of Cam being released and Mac Jones getting the job also applies to Stevenson, who looked like a monster this preseason.
Yeah.
And even if Harris is the starter, which he probably is, he can get hurt. And then Stevenson's probably the guy. But I don't even know for sure. With Belichick, it wouldn't be that surprising if Stevenson got 18 carries in week 1 and Harris got like 10. I mean, it wouldn't be a shock. There's no announcement of who's the top guy.
Right. You just have to be lucky if find the right week to start him. That's the only thing, and hope that it coincides with a week where you're not using Taylor or Sanders or something like that. But that's the whole point with all of these running backs, though, at this point.
Well, no, but yeah, exactly. Pollard went in the same round. I mean, he's a backup, and Gio Bernard went in the same round, and Nyheim Hines. Stevenson, I think, has the best chance to be a starter. I mean, again, Harris is the starter probably.
Right.
But this is the Patriots. This isn't like some team where it's like, oh, the guy who's been there is, of course, the guy. Who the hell knows? So I took him as an upside, another aggressive pick once I lost the guys that I really wanted.
Well, both Dillon and Stevenson have that potential. Like, if they were the starter, they could be a top 10 guy. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's what you're kind of looking for there. And both Dillon and Stevenson have a lot of helium right now. They're both climbing up draft boards. They're the one. Dillon's been that way for a while, actually. He's one of the. And I think one of the things about Dillon, too, is Aaron Jones has gotten paid. And that actually skews in favor of Dillon a little bit because now the Packers have an investment in Jones, and they want to protect that a little bit. They can't just, we're just going to, use him really hard here because he's going to be a free agent at the end. No, he's part of the team for a while now. They have to protect him a little bit. And I think that skews in favor of Dillon a little bit. Plus, Dillon can play. We've seen it. He can play.
Yeah, Dillon might be good. And the other thing is Jones' career high in carries is like 220 or something, or 230. He's not a workhorse. Right. Last year he had 201. 2 years ago, he had 236 in 16 games. He's just not going to get a ridiculous workload. And I could see Dillon just, if he's good, if he's like, running people over Derrick Henry style, they're going to give him the ball. And I think they could turn Jones even more of an Alvin Kamara type where he's only getting 180 carries and getting, 70 catches or 65 catches. And you see Dillon getting 230 carries, 220 carries, because that makes sense. Why not smash them with your early down bruiser and let your, when the guy's worn down and, get your sort of talented 3 down back in there. So, I feel pretty good about that. He's my most owned player, Dillon. I got him in 5 leagues out of 9.
Wow. I have to do my count. I'm in more leagues than 9, unfortunately, but, and I say unfortunately now, but I enjoyed the drafts and I enjoy playing different styles, but still, and I still got my original league, my home league that started our company. That drafts on Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to that too. Before we continue looking at our leagues, a quick note from our friends at Fantasy Stand. Playing fantasy sports is so much fun, but once you dive deeper, fighting against other players for a percentage of the pot, there might be sharks. Even when your fantasy team crushes it, those skilled pros may leave you without a single cent. Luckily, the days of having a great score and not getting loot are over. With Fantasy Stand, you're playing against the house. If you reach the threshold, you win. It's that simple. Sorry, baby sharks. To participate, choose a free or paid entry in the contest in the lobby. For salary cap, you have to pick 9 players while staying at or under the salary cap. For Pick'em, you simply pick 1 player from each tier they are presented with. Done. Now sit back and watch the results to see if your fantasy team has what it takes to stand out from the rest. Come out as a high scorer, get ready for additional prizes. So where do you stand? Visit fantasystand.com to sign up today. Thanks to Fantasy Stand. Thanks to our Blue Wire sponsors. We are back. We are discussing our NFFC drafts. I posted a link to Chris's article. He describes his team, breaks down his team in the chat. If you're following along right now, you can check out Chris's grid. I'll do I'll set up the link for mine in a second here as well. We'll do that here. Quick question about Julia asked about AJ Dillon. How's his hand? How's he? Hasn't seen him catch any balls yet. Can he handle third down? What's your thought on that aspect of him?
I mean, I don't think he's going to handle a lot of third downs unless Aaron Jones gets hurt. And
right.
Even then, is Kylan Hill going to get some third down? I don't know. So I didn't get him for a third down. I only have him projected for about 15 catches. I got to look at what's his projection, 18 catches. So I don't know. I don't know if he can catch. And but Derrick Henry doesn't catch, Nick Chubb doesn't catch that much. His upside is being Gus Edwards type. That's sort of like the bullish case is Gus Edwards, and the very bullish case is one of those studs if something happens to Aaron Jones.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. So yeah, but again, you're looking for a guy that could be the starter there. You're hoping for that to happen. Couple other guys. So
by the way, this commenter, Appendi Graft, is super annoying. He got Jonathan Taylor, Barkley, and AJ Brown to start his draft, which is like, oh my gosh. That's it. That's the nuts. You pick 12, Taylor and Barkley slip. This happens. This is not impossible. And then first pick around 3 and reversely you get AJ Brown. That's what I'm talking about, how sick that is. But I was picking 4. I had to deal with what I had to deal with, but that's unfair.
All right. So you waited on tight end, and you waited, and then you waited even longer and got your guy Gronk in the 12th round. And then you backed him up with 2 others. I like that. I like how you handled it. You did what you said you were going to do. You were either going to go in the top 2 tiers or you were going to wait. You waited and got 3.
Yeah, no way I was going to go Noah Fant. Although when Higbee went after I took Stevenson, I was a little bit like, ooh, I like Higbee. But okay, fine. Yeah, I was going to take Gronk in round 11, but I was like, you know what? I got to gamble. Chuba Hubbard has tons of upside if anything happens to McCaffrey. And then I took Gronk. He was there. But Gronk is older and he's been hurt a lot. So I knew I was going to get more tight ends, but I still got Rieger, who I like as a year 2 first round pick who could go nuts. Trevor Lawrence, I want to get a second QB. Everyone gets a backup. And unfortunately, I didn't look and realize that he has the same bye week as Herbert, but I could probably pick up a nutless monkey like Sam Darnold during the bye week or something. But the point is that I got Lawrence because I couldn't turn down the value in 14. And then I got Kmet and Ertz. So I felt like that was my weakest position. Obviously, I didn't take one to round 12. And I've got 3 guys who I think could be good. And I like the old tight ends. Ertz is only 30. He caught 88 passes 2 years ago. And he's having a good camp. So I think he's got upside. I think Kmet is a second-round pick who is in a very thin receiving core right now. So I like them both. And between those 2 and Gronk, I'm just hoping it's obvious by week 4 which one is the best. Because the worst thing that can happen, and it's part of fantasy football, is they're all pretty good, but you're getting whipsawed and starting the wrong guy. And with 3 guys, you're almost certainly going to get it wrong. Yeah.
That is the downside to that there. You want definition really quick. That's for sure. Yeah. And you mentioned that the bye week issue for your quarterbacks. Yeah. You can get away with that a little bit in a 12 and a 14 teamer. You're kind of screwed a little bit because then you're looking at, probably really dregs. You're hoping
Tyrod Taylor, you're going to pick up Tyrod Taylor or someone like that, for the week. But again, it's not that bad though. Even the 14, you would think weeks ahead, you'd be looking for that QB weeks ahead, and you'd be looking at the schedule and you'd be planning out like pouncing, on one that dropped. But yeah, this one, it won't be a big deal, but it's just funny that I didn't even think about it. And then I was like, oh wait, they got the same bye week.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Any other observations from your team before we move on?
I liked it. Picking a kicker, a decent kicker, cost me my guy Kadarius Toney. I sort of regretted that. I thought that was that was a token mistake. Only because I don't think there's much separation between the Bucks and anybody else. Well, it's team kicker though, remember? So I do think a really elite team that's like the favorite to win the Super Bowl is worth getting the kicker, right? You want kickers on good teams pretty much because if they don't get field goals, they'll get touchdowns and extra points. So I think there's some value in it. It's just that I just like Kadarius Toney, and I probably could have got I might have been able to get the Bucks kicker anyway, but I thought I could get Toney anyway. But then I get Elijah Mitchell. So if Elijah Mitchell's good, it actually helped me that I got the kicker. But personally, I was hoping for Toney over Elijah Mitchell. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I probably would have, and I think you would have gotten Mitchell regardless. So I would have. No, I didn't want Mitchell. The guy I lost out was Toney, who I thought I was going to get. No, I'm saying you would have gotten Mitchell in the 20th if you decided to take Toney. I was going to get two. I didn't care about Mitchell. He was just the sub for Toney. I was going to take 2 defenses, but I see. But I just basically taking the Bucks kicker cost me Toney and got me Mitchell. Whereas if I took Toney and the Bucks kicker was gone, I would have had some random kicker. Right. Let's move on to my team. So I did the 14 teamer in the morning, and you wouldn't be. It takes 6 rounds for make up that for a full round of players to drop.
First of all, people, when you're looking at the draft results there, and I posted the draft grid on that one, you'll see really quickly that the qualitative difference drops off really quickly when you're trying to do a team build. And that kind of informed some of my decisions. I didn't really want to have an extreme strategy. I didn't want to go like, okay, let's go three running backs to start or 3 receivers to start. I wanted some balance. I think balance is important in a 14-teamer. You can work that you can do a heavy strategy. Team 13 next to me went 3 receivers, a quarterback, a tight end, and another receiver before he took his first running back. That might work. He was the only guy that did that. But
can you make it that I can see the grid?
I posted a link
on Twitter. Okay.
Yeah, I did. I posted it in the chat forum too, and it's on Twitter. I posted a link to that there. See if I can. I'll send a DM it to you there. But at any rate, you can see. Here, I'll get it to you real quick here while we're talking. But basically, what you're looking at, my article will be up on the site shortly after our podcast. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to finish beforehand. But at any rate,
you're picking 12.
I'm picking 12th. I wanted to pick late. I was either wanted to go pick 1, get CMC because I think there is a big difference between him and Cook, or just go towards the back. And 12th was my second choice overall. I think I'm 12, 13, 14, 11, something of that nature, because that you'll see that there's a big drop off in the 3rd round, and that's kind of what I was doing. Now, of course, I think there's another drop off at like the 4-5 after that, but I was pretty happy with my choices at 3.3. I thought that was one of the important things I was trying to do, is make sure I had something lined up the way I wanted to get there. So, that is something I was looking at there a little bit. There we go. Sorry. Bear with me there. Okay. So that was something I really wanted to get a late pick, and I think it worked out the way I wanted to. So first round, though, I had mapped out the first round, and I was like, okay, pie in the sky, Taylor. Of course, he's never going to slip. Second choice is Jones. I would love to get him. Third choice is Nick Chubb. I might get him. There's a pretty good chance.
A good chance. I would have said you were a favorite to get him.
Yeah. If all else fails, Tyreek Hill, I'll still be pretty happy. Well, Taylor went 5th. Okay, he's not going late anymore. That's just not happening. Aaron Jones, he goes 9th. Okay. Kelsey goes 10th. It's kind of relieved. I like Kelsey, and I'm willing to take him, but I really didn't want to have to. I'm like, all right, Nick Chubb, it's coming. Nope, right before me, Nick Chubb goes 11th. All right, Tyreek Hill it is. Nothing too controversial there. I could have gone Barkley there. I could have gone or Gibson if I really wanted to pull the running back. I didn't. Diggs and Gibson go, then Hopkins and Ridley. And here I am. We talked about this before at 217, 2.3. Do I take the windfall in Barkley? This is where I'm put to the test. I thought I was willing to do it, but I also had Metcalf available to me. And I really love Metcalf. You love Metcalf. We've talked about this before. End of the day, I couldn't take Barkley. I just couldn't do it. I know the news is on him is actually pretty good. It looks like he's going to play in week 1.
Yep.
They have a short turnaround in week 2. They did say he's going to be limited in week 1, though. They did say he's not going to get that full workload. I just don't want to take that with my first back. I just couldn't do it, especially when Metcalf was there. If it's Hopkins versus Barkley,
you take Barkley. I think it was Metcalf is such a beast that you were like, I can't turn this down for something I'm not 100% sold on. And I get it. I would have taken Barkley, but I can't really knock you for Metcalf because he has so much upside himself. I just look at Barkley and I think, let's say he wasn't limited. Let's say they just gave him a clean bill of health and like, he's good as new. He's fine. Let's say they spun it that way. He is what he is, right? So they call it fine or they're being cautious or whatever they call it. He is able to play in week 1. So he's healthy. They may ease him in, but he's able to play. That's the key. And where would Barkley go with a clean bill of health? Let's say his knee injury would resolve by March, and there was no question about this all summer that he was practicing in full. He's fine. He's good as new. Let's say it wasn't even let's say it was a more minor injury, like a hand injury that kept him out all year or something, and that he's good as new. He'd be going in the top 3 or 4. I mean, it's Barkley. He was going second last year. He got hurt in week 1, early week 2. Nothing really changed. He had a bad week 1 where he got stuffed, so maybe people remember that. But he's a top 5 guy for sure. For sure. If he has a clean bill of health. So you're getting like a pretty big discount in round 2 of a 14-teamer based on, we're going to ease him in. To me, like, because he's healthy. Like, he wouldn't be playing if he was comfortable. He's not. They're gonna let him play if he's not completely healthy. It's just They might want to just because you're supposed to do that. I don't know. And I think he could get back to full speed in 2-3 weeks. So, I would have still taken Barkley, but I really can't knock a Metcalf pick. I think that Metcalf so easily could be wide receiver 1.
Yeah, that's the way I viewed it there. By the way, I wasn't the only one that passed up on Barkley. The next 2 teams also passed up on Barkley. CeeDee Lamb went 18th overall. Over Allen, over Jefferson, over A.J. Brown and Terry McLaurin. I mean, that's faith in your guy. That's getting your guy right there. And then Najee Harris went ahead of Barkley too.
Well, Najee Harris, I can see. So Najee Harris is going to get 270 carries and 50, 60 catches. I mean, Najee Harris is like, that's an easy call. Najee Harris could easily go where Chubb went or Aaron Jones went or Eckler went. Mm-hmm. So that just shows how fluid it is in these couple of rounds. But yeah, I love Barkley where they got him there.
Yeah. So the only thing for me though is now I'm starting the draft with 2 receivers, which it's okay. It's just it's you get out of the first 2 rounds and you kind of don't want that running back. But I got my running back in the 3rd round. I got James Robinson in the 3rd. I took him over Godwin. I took him over David Montgomery. If I was looking for a different running back, the choice for me was really Robinson versus Montgomery. I part of me really wanted Chris Godwin because it would have been a 6-start Hill Metcalf Godwin.
Great start.
But I really wanted that possible 3-down running back. I know Carlos Hyde could be the fly in the ointment, but I don't see him being a pass catcher. I see Robinson having clear production. I know he's not Urban Meyer's guy, but I mean, the guy produced. He's good. And, with no ETN, he's going to catch some passes. I know Hyde's not going to catch those passes. So I'm pretty confident he's a 3-down back. And that's why I went with him.
So I don't love that. I'm not going to say it's a bad pick. I would have gone Godwin. Or Deontay Johnson, one of those 2. Just to play, if you're going to lean into that receiver start, lean all the way into it. 0 RB, that shit. I do like, guys like Gus Edwards, Damian Harris, Miles Sanders. You got Sermon, who I really like in round 6. So I think you could have 0 RB'd it without, being completely, left in the lurch. Like the danger of 0 RB is like Nyheim Hines and Tony Pollard are your starters. Like that's too far. Right. But
yeah,
you could have done it. Right. Cause you could have in round 5, you could have taken Miles Sanders. Oh no, you couldn't have in round 5. He was gone.
Right.
So you got to take him round 4. So it's a Jacob Sanders. It's a preference thing. I would have preferred Sanders, but it's fine. You obviously just.
I could have gone Jacob Edwards though. I could have gone Jacob Damian Harris. That's what I was looking at if I waited. So I mean, and I would have passed on getting the upper tier tight end.
Right.
That was actually the other real choice for me. Is do I take the tight end, the last of that tier? And I like Mark Andrews a lot. I like him better than Pitts. I like him better than Hawkinson. So when if it was Andrews that went and I had to choose Hawkinson or another receiver or another back, I probably pass on Hawkinson. I've kind of decided on that one there at first. At first, I think I was higher on Hawkinson. I've kind of scaled back my expectations of him just a little bit because you and I have talked a lot. Like, okay, he was kind of the game in town anyhow, and that's what he did. Now maybe there's another level, but I think that the absence of name receivers doesn't necessarily foretell a big jump in production for a Hawkinson. I think
they only lost Marvin Jones. I mean, it's not like they
and Galladay.
But Galladay wasn't there last year. He was out the whole year.
Yeah.
So last year they didn't even have Galladay, and he had 67 catches in 16 games. It's sort of like now the argument for him is he's the 8th overall pick, and this is year 3, so he might get better.
Yeah.
And if he's better, but yeah, I don't think it's the only game in town as much, and maybe because Goff is worse, it actually helps him because a lot of the worst quarterbacks lock in on the guy they trust more rather than a good quarterback that throws at the guy who's open. So we'll see. There's upside there. I love Andrews. I have him ahead of Hawkinson. Andrews is sort of, if healthy, can't miss. He's going to get 7-8 touchdowns. Right. He's going to get 800 yards. He's just really good. And Lamar Jackson likes him, and the receiving core is decimated. So I like Andrews fine there. I almost took him myself. And I really like Sermon in round 6. So I think getting Sermon is important because you have 2 decent backs, but now you have a guy who can really be
who could be an RB1 if everything breaks right.
Yeah. And it could fill in. And it's just you needed that extra back. So Yeah, and it's also a 14-team league, so you can't critique it like it's a 12-team.
Yeah, that's right. A couple other observations, but first, a note from our friends at Vivid Seats. Preseason football has wrapped up, and we're ready for the regular season to kick off this week. Live events are making a comeback, and there's no better place to be than Vivid Seats to get back into the action. So grab your NFL tickets and cheer on your favorite team from the stands. Man, that feels great to say. Even better, they just launched a new and improved rewards program with free tickets for every fan. Earn rewards, ticket upgrades, and perks just for shopping. If you're looking for tickets to the game, your favorite artist, or that new show that everybody's talking about, Vivid Seats has it all. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live. All right. I mentioned earlier helium, guys. We talked about Jerry Jeudy. He went at 4.8 in this draft. Keep in mind that's a little later than it did. It's later than you think it is because there's 4.3 and a 12 in yours, 4.8 in mine. But Marquez Callaway went 4.6, pick 48 overall. Marquez Callaway, he's been established as the number one guy for now in New Orleans with Michael Thomas out for at least the first 6 weeks. Traequan Smith was banged up in camp. We saw Callaway have a big training camp and a big preseason. That's 2 touchdowns against Jacksonville and made some really nice catches on those catches too. But wow, talk about getting your guy. That's getting your guy.
Yeah, he went like in round 8 or 7 in my league, and I didn't even consider it. Maybe 6, maybe went round 6, and I didn't even consider. I was like, oh yeah, he goes. I might be wrong. I had him really low. I bumped him up just to like put myself more in line with the market slightly, but you're not going to get him on my cheat sheet. There's nothing physically remarkable about him. He's 6'2", 205, ran a 4.55, made some plays on a televised game in preseason. Traequan Smith, who knows what his status is? Could be out for the year. He could be back week 1. Sean Payton doesn't say anything. So I'm just kind of like, all right, so here's the guy who's there for now before Michael Thomas comes back. Maybe he'll get a ton of targets. I don't know. And so I just can't put him ahead of guys that I feel like I know that, guys like I don't even like Tyler Boyd, but Tyler Boyd's going to get targets and catches. Brandon Cooks is going to get targets and catches. What's Callaway's role for the whole year? I don't know. I ended up giving him a decent number, but it puts him at 49. So you're not getting him if you're using my list.
Yeah, I think you're right. And in fact, I know you're right because I keep scrolling to mark him off every time that he gets drafted.
Yeah.
Like, where is he? Same with Cole Beasley. Same with there's a handful of guys. Every time they go, I'm like, okay, how low does Chris have him here? I like that because I always use our draft tool, right? And it's your projections. And so I was like, okay, scroll. There he is. Okay, fine. Corey Davis.
I mean, thing. Beasley, I think Beasley's a good player. He's, but there's just no ceiling, and there's Gabriel Davis there with Diggs, and there's also what's his name? The old guy, Emmanuel Sanders, is there. Right. And I guess they have not much of a tight end, and they don't throw to the backs much, so it's always just those 4 guys. But I guess maybe Beasley to me, like his ceiling is like Jarvis Landry is the ceiling, or it just doesn't seem very exciting to draft that guy.
Yeah. So wide receivers are a big focus of this. There's a lot of these guys that are getting pushed up. I wanted Elijah Moore in the 8th. I missed by 2, but I got Mikol Hardman, who was another guy that's kind of a helium guy. I actually, earlier in draft season, I had Hardman ranked ahead of Moore, and that still might be right because could be the number 2 in the Chiefs offense. Well, number 3 option behind Kelsey, I guess you could say. But number 2 wide receiver. Are you backing the Chiefs or are you backing the Jets? I think I'd rather back the Chiefs. I believe it or not, I think I made a mistake in the 9th round when getting Trevor Lawrence. Even though I have Chark and Robinson, I like Lawrence a lot. There was only one other team at that point that hadn't drafted a quarterback. And wide receivers were starting to dry up. I think in a 14-teamer, you don't realize how quickly they dry up. I could have taken Michael Gallup there. I could have, or Rondale Moore or Hollywood Brown, whoever your guy is there. I think it dries up pretty quickly after that. And I think I could have taken my chances. Burrow and Mayfield win in the intervening picks. Who knows? Lawrence might have been in there for me in the 10th round. I think there's a qualitative difference like Michael Gallup and Jalen Reagor, who I ended up with in the 10th.
Well, Reagor in some ways has more upside than Gallup, but Gallup is in a 14 really valuable because he's almost certainly going to get like 900 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns if he's healthy. And I kind of agree with that's worth taking, and you should have gambled on the QB, especially because even if you miss out on Lawrence, it's not the end of the world, right? It's not like a must-have guy. I mean, I like Lawrence. I think there's upside, but you could have got, you got Matt Ryan in round 13. Where did Cousins go? Around 14. So I think those guys are perfectly fine. If you're not, Lawrence, if he runs a lot, could do a lot better than those guys. But A, he might have been there, and B, it wouldn't have been, devastating for you to have missed him.
Yeah, that's why I think. Yeah, that's why I think I would have waited on that. I took Lawrence over Burrow because the coordination between the Chark and Lawrence. It's a bonus. Plus, I am worried a little bit more about the Bengals offensive line. I think Burrow is great, but I don't know if he's going to be able to step in the pocket confidently. They're still trying to figure out the interior of that offensive line. Who's the starters at both guard spots are still an issue for the Bengals. I don't think that's been completely resolved. Jackson Carman, the guy they drafted in the second round, might not even be the second string. Another whiff on a draft pick on the offensive line. Now, it's early to call it a whiff. He still could be good eventually, but he reported to camp out of shape. Things like that. It's frustrating to see. And I'm a Bengals fan, just for the record here. So I'm an anti-homer.
For now, you're a Bengals fan.
If I haven't quit by now, I'm not going to. I mean, they've given me all the reason in the world to quit.
Real man quits right away. Listen, the Giants are a really good team to jump to, Jeff. I'm telling you. Let's do this. One of these videos, we're going to convert you to a Giants fan. I'll convert you, man. It's better. It's a better run organization.
If I'm going to convert, it's going to be like to the Chargers or something, someone local.
The Chargers are a team that sold out their entire city. You can't be a Chargers fan.
I wasn't a San Diego guy, though.
I know, but it's still it's
a carpet bag owner. I get it. Yeah, you're right.
One of the worst of the worst. Can't be a Chargers
That's actually
fan.
A good point. You're right. No Chargers. That's right. I'll go.
Yeah.
I see. The thing is,
Giants is a great one to jump to because they haven't been good. So nobody.
There's too many Giants.
You're not like Stephania Bell, jumping on the Niners when they got good. You know what I mean? You actually would be clean slate, bad team right now. No one respects the Gettle Chad, and you get in on the ground floor. It's a good proposition. Think about it.
I can't go to the Giants. Yeah. I can't. Just can't. I don't like them. I dislike them.
Why would you dislike the Giants? The Giants are
annoying.
Why? It's just because of me that you don't like the Giants.
They are annoying, Chris. They.
yeah. It's only because of me. Because otherwise, they're not annoying at all.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, we'll leave that aside. It's weird. You got to run. I was just looking at this: Stafford, Lawrence, Burrow, Mayfield. It's a run on number one overall pick quarterbacks in your life. It's like all the guys who went number one. I like Lawrence. I think if Lawrence is healthy, he can't really fail. I mean, when have we seen a guy, Andrew Luck was a monster his rookie year. When have we seen a guy who's like the generational guy fail in most sports? I mean, you look at LeBron when he came out and it's like LeBron. I mean, I'm talking about the generational guy, not just like, oh, he's good. He's the number one prospect.
Right. Yeah. Lawrence has been the number one pick for 3 years running. Yeah. It's like we've known it's coming.
When do we, that's why I like Pitts too. It's not like, oh, it's OJ Howard. Look at a stud tight end who didn't do anything in college, but he's big and fast and looks really good. I just feel like this is, if once the game starts, he's going to be really good. It's like, if you're that, it's kind of like kickers and defense, right? Like we only deal with the extremes. We only get the guy that's on the best team and kicks 58-yard field goals. Otherwise, wait, except what I did. Well, I got him like the 18th round, but still, or defense. It's like, don't take the 6th defense in the 14th round or the 16th round. Like just wait once the elite ones are off. And it's kind of like with these overall prospects, it's like the elite generational guys are different. Like they just so rarely fail. They can get hurt, obviously, but if they're healthy, they just don't really fail very often. And it's so Lawrence to me, and this day and age, the quarterbacks are good out of the gate. It's not like this 3-year waiting period. So I'm on board with it. And if he's good, you're not going to care that you reached around.
Right. I did back him up with Matt Ryan, who's going to throw the ball a ton, get the one veteran to go with the rookie. Hopefully, it squares up well with bye weeks and all that. So kind of handle it that way. Overall, I like the team, and it's, the second half of the draft. I mean, those are important picks. We haven't really kind of delved into them too much, but I also got Gronk. I got the Broncos defense, which there's a big defensive run in round 14.
Tough week one matchup for the Broncos though, Jeff.
Yeah. G-Men. That's one of the reasons why, I might become a Broncos fan. That's who I could become. Friends up.
The Broncos kind of a lame fan base.
Yeah. That's not true. They're a crazy good fan base.
I don't know. I'll go with the Broncos. If you reject the Giants, you can't go to the Broncos. We smoked the Broncos in that Super Bowl too. Broncos are soft.
Yeah, you see what I mean about annoying? Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, but let's look at all the overlap we have. You and I both have, Lawrence, Rieger, Hubbard, Gronk, four in a row.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I got Elijah Mitchell late too, just because the thing about Elijah Mitchell, he runs like a 4.3 something, 4.33 40. And if and when Mostert gets hurt, okay, Sermon's the guy, but like actually Elijah Mitchell can just do the Mostert role. You have this back that when the hole opens up in the zone blocking scheme, this guy can, take it 70 yards. And it's like he's like the perfect fill-in for Mostert. He's like the only guy as fast as Mostert. So I just think he's interesting late also in an unsettled backfield because they got rid of Gallman. They kept Elijah Mitchell. And so Sermon might be good. He might not, we don't know. And Mostert's very fragile, and that's the third guy. I mean, James Hasty's around too, but I think Mitchell's kind of a good last round flyer.
Yeah, and that's the thing is there's all four Niners backs were drafted. I got two of them, and another team got two of them as well. And so that was kind of interesting that we kind of played it that way. It's Hasty versus Mitchell and Sermon versus Mostert. Basically, it's kind of funny. Neither of us got like the top two. I mean, but that's the thing is you can't get Sermon and Mostert really. I mean, you could, but I don't think it's a smart play because you're taking away a guy. You're not going to start both of them in a given week. You don't want.
You could in a like against the Lions week 1, but it's not great. But actually, it could be good if one of them gets hurt. But I think the Niners are going to have sort of a rotation anyway. The only guy I think could handle it might be Sermon, and we don't know that, but that he's younger and bigger, and Mostert's really light. So I think Sermon, I think that's why he's appealing, is that he could be the 250 carry, 45 catch guy, whereas Mostert I just don't think can do it. I got into an argument with Dalton on the podcast. We were arguing because he was saying Mostert had upside, and I was basically saying, well, I don't think he can get enough carries to get upside. And he's like, but if he did have the carries, which is true, but I just think there's no way he gets 200 carries. So I think Sermon's definitely the guy you want out of those two.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's the way I feel about that too. I don't mind taking Mostert a little bit later than Sermon, if that's what's available. In this case, though, Mostert went ahead of Sermon, so by about a round. So Ken Magner, by the way, is the guy who took him, and Ken's a good guy. I know him from baseball too. So it was fun to kind of draft with him. He's also a Bengals fan. The other Bengals fan that's in this world. So
no, I thought Clay Link wasn't Clay Link a Bengals fan?
I know he's a Reds fan. I don't think he cares.
I thought it was a Bengals fan. And then what about Andre Stellings? The professor is a Bengals fan.
Yeah, we just doubled our in number there. That's great.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. Any other parting thoughts before we sign off today, Chris?
No, I'm happy with my draft. I'm excited for the season to start. I'm sure it'll be very miserable when all the things that I thought aren't actually true. And, you got to deal like everything every year. But this is the best time. This is when everything is still intact except Travis Etienne. Yeah. And we're about to start our regular rotation. We'll do Guess the Lines tomorrow on Sirius XM. Value meter comes out. We'll be doing staff picks again. Lots of stuff there. We're going to be hitting up. So looking forward to that Survivor talk on the show this week. Yep. So very looking forward to all that. So should be a lot of fun. Yep. All right. Thanks to WynnBET, WYNNBET, for their exclusive sponsorship of the Rotowire podcast all fall. We got Joe and Jake coming at you tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.